Hello class. In this tutorial we are going to look at how to use Google Forms to create a formative assessment or a summative assessment with your students. I'm here in my Google Drive. In order to get to my Google Drive, I started in my Southeastern University Gmail, click the Google Apps launcher, and then chose Drive. From here, I've organized my drive into folders. You can do that, or you can just create in that same space, but I'd like to keep everything organized. So I'm in my instructional technology course folder. To create a form, I'm going to click New and then go to More and choose Google Forms. First thing I want to do is title it, because my forms are constantly being saved, as is anything created in the Google Drive. It's always being saved for you. Therefore, if you don't name it and then leave the application, sometimes you'll have 4 or 5 forms called untitled form. So this is going to be a EDUC 3503 intro questions. Okay, now as I'm typing that in the title, if I go up here to where the title is, up in the top, and click on Untitled Form, you'll see that my title automatically populates into that field, which is pretty cool. I can give it a form description if I'd like. Answer these questions at the beginning of class this week. Clicked in where it said question, and that's where I'm going to type in my first question. And I'm going to ask, who created? Okay, I'm going to keep it as multiple choice. I'm going to make the first option FETC, which is the Future of Education Technology Conference. I'm going to add FCIT, which is the Florida Center for Instructional Technology. And then my last one is going to be ISTE, which is the International Society of Technology Education. And I'm going to make this required because I want all my students to answer that question. Now that I'm looking at this, I see that I have missed something that's really important. I have a quiz started. However, when my students take this quiz, I have no way to identify my students. So I'm actually going to backtrack and add my student names. So I'm going to add a question, and I like to organize it, have one field for last name and one field for first name. Now that I said that, every question that you create will actually become a separate field on the responses spreadsheet. So if anything needs to be separated, such as last name and first name, or period, or subject area, or anything like that, you do want to have a separate question for each, basically for each column that you want to have in your spreadsheet. So I'm going to put in last name. And this is pretty cool. This is a new thing. It automatically changed it from multiple choice to short answer without me doing anything, because it is a smart or quiz creator, so it automatically saw that. As you see, I clicked on those 6 little dots and was able to move that question up very simply. I want to make that required. I also want the student's first name. I want to have it required to make sure that students answer it, and anything that's required, if they don't fill it in, they're not able to submit until they go back and fill that in. I also want to know the period number. Again, it's going to change it to a short answer. However, I don't want it to be a short answer, because some people will put in the 1 for first. Well, some people will put in 1ST. Some people will write in the word first. So in that case, I want them to pick a specific answer. I'm going to click short answer, and I'm going to change it to drop down. What are the differences between these? Multiple choice will allow you to select, or allow the student to select, one option. So I could have it multiple choice. Checkboxes allow students or respondents to check more than one response, which is not something I want in this case. And a drop-down is very similar to multiple choice in that there's one choice. However, when the student sees it, they see a field, they click on that field, and then the options open up in a drop-down menu. So I'm going to go ahead and go with drop-down. And I'm just going to make it very simple first. Again, I want to make it required. Everyone that's required, you see it changes it, puts a star next to it, so that I know as I'm looking through that I have all of the everything that I want the students to answer are marked as required. If I want to see what it looks like at any point, I can come up and click the eyeball. That's the preview. And it shows me, here's my intro questions, last, first, period number, and you see now I have my drop down menu, and then I have the first question that is a multiple choice. Okay, looks good so far. I'm going to close that window and go back to editing. From here, I'm going to choose this question because I want to add a question after that. I have 2 more questions to add. So I'm going to add a question. And in this one, I want to have a short answer. I have the choice for text. I can have a short answer or a paragraph. In something like this, I like to have the paragraph because when the students see it, I'll show you the difference. When students see it, they have a longer area. They're not as confined, whereas here there's a short answer. So I don't necessarily want a very long answer, but sometimes when students see a shorter line, they think to write a short amount. When there's a longer line, they are a little bit more free to express themselves more completely. So I like to use the long response in this instance. For my final question, I want to have an image related to the question. So I'm going to add a question, hitting that plus. I'm going to click the image next to the word question. And I want to upload an image that I've already taken. And it's right here. I'm still able to write a question. Okay, I want it to be multiple choice. My first option is going to be OPA. Again, I want to make it required. And I again want to preview it. I constantly preview just to see, did I have any misspellings? Is it saying what I want it to say? And you can see my image is right embedded into the question itself. Some other things that I can add a title. So if I wanted to have titles for different sections of my quiz, I can add a title. And let's see what it looks like once I add those titles. You see it adds a small title in between different questions. I can add sections, so I could actually make this its own separate section. And let's see what that looks like. So here's section 1, and then I can have section 2 would be on the next page. Of course, it's not going to let me go because I haven't filled anything in on those required questions. So a section's going to break up the quiz into different pieces. So maybe I have their name on the first page, and then I have the first set of questions on the second page. If I don't want it, I can just go in and delete the section. If I don't want a title, I can go in and click the delete button. If I don't want a question, I can click the delete button. I can add just an image to my document, my quiz, if I'd like. I can even add a video, so I can have a video in this Google form and then add embedded questions for that video. So that's another way that I can flip the classroom. Now it defaults to this purple background. I would like to change that a little bit, so I'm going to click up here to the color palette. You can go to the images and apply a theme to it. So let's just do, I love this theme. And it actually changes the image on top, the background, and you just go through and play with whichever theme will best fit that quiz for you. There are some other options as well. So if I go here, this was my preview, if I go to settings, you see there are some general settings that I could do. I can automatically collect email addresses. That means that whoever uses this quiz has to log in to receive or to actually access this form. It automatically collects that information, and then I wouldn't need to have the name, the last name and the first name. I can restrict it to different users. I can also restrict it to just one response. Okay, and then I can also give them the option to edit or to see a summary chart. I might allow them to edit. However, I'm very hesitant on that because I know that sometimes they go in and find the answers. I can change the way it looks, whether it shows a progress bar, shuffles the question order. So if I'm given a quiz, I often want to shuffle the question order. And I can even have a confirmation message. And they have also added a new section called quizzes. In quizzes, I can mark this as a quiz. I can let them see their grade immediately upon submission of their assignment, or I can turn on email, and after I've collected it from all of my students, I can choose to push out an email to all students. Okay. I can go in, once I've marked it as a quiz, I can set how many points I want to have for each one. I can mark what the correct answer is. And I can add feedback. Incorrect answers, I can add feedback for the correct answers. And I can do that for each of these questions that I have asked. I can create the answer key. I can give it the amount of points that I want, as well as give it feedback. This isn't going to have an actual answer key because it's a short answer response. Let's see for this one. And what this will do is this will allow me to automatically grade this assignment as soon as the students take it. Once they take it, when I go to my responses, it will actually give me a rundown of everybody's response. I can do it individually, view it individually, or class. I can also click this little spreadsheet button. It'll ask me if I want to create a new or select an existing. Usually I create a brand new spreadsheet. However, you may have a spreadsheet for quiz data. This would be added to as a new tab in an existing spreadsheet if you wanted to do that. I want to create a new one. It's going to go ahead and create it. And you'll see once it's created that spreadsheet, I still have my quiz with the questions, but now I have a spreadsheet that will collect all of the names, their score, and then what they responded for each of the questions. If I did this as a ticket in the door, I probably would have this spreadsheet open on my computer. As they're coming in and filling out the answer, I can very quickly see what answers they have answered. As they answer it, it just automatically populates the spreadsheet, and I have my formative data. Let me know if you have any questions, and I challenge you to go ahead and try to use Google Forms as a really simple, free, and quick way to create assessments for your classroom.